Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the Pigskin and the Mosh Pit podcast, and we are live.
On the chin. It's been a primal race. Super fist, it's come off. Every on your cage. That's when I feel the power surge. And that's who all this begins.
What's up, everybody? I am Big Brian. You guys are watching the Pigskin and the Mosh Pit podcast. Let me bring in the panel. First up, you know him from Mushroom Head. He's the ex-frontman lead singer. You know him from Purgatory. It's Jeff Hatrix.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
That's
Next
cool.
up, you know him from the Manimals. He's the front man. He's the man. He's the manimal himself. Super Fist. Larry the Wolf.
That was a bad one, but I did my best.
It's pretty good. It wasn't bad.
Pretty good one.
Wasn't the worst.
Hey, guys.
And from Cleveland.com sports writer, plays drums for Made in America, Mob Rules, Fall Asleep. He is Dan Gillis. What's up, dude?
What's
What's going on, everybody?
Being annoyed.
What a week, huh? What a week. We got a lot to talk about. Now, we haven't been doing these every week because the Browns frankly suck. And so we've been kind of in a disgusted situation when it's like, you know what?
Different kind of week.
Yeah, this is different because there's just been a lot that's now happened. A lot of conclusions in a way, I guess, in some ways, if you want to look at it from that way, I guess. Oh, my God. So, anyways, Deshaun Watson, I guess let's just start right there right now because that's really the thing that really is the biggest story coming out of the camp right now is he looks like he's done at least for the rest of this season, probably next season as well with an Achilles. I mean, at least part of the season, no matter what. And so that's kind of it feels almost conclusive when this has happened. It almost feels like he may never play again for the Browns. You never know. I mean, that's a long time. And he's nearing the end of this contract. Who knows? I mean, at this point, does anyone really know what's going to happen? But he's done. I mean, he's done, and now we're kind of back to square zero. No one's really playing good except for the punter, and so it's just kind of like we're in that one of them situations again. It feels like we really are just right back, literally to like where we were when we were 1-16 and 0. I mean, it almost feels that way, and I can't even explain why, but because you have all this talent, but it's
allegedly.
It's so dismal to watch, and frankly, Larry, I mean, the Jets are what the fuck? I mean, they're not doing any better, and it's the same kind of weird thing. I mean, I can't even. It's almost not even fun to watch the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, I watched. Which it's great to see you guys. That's the good part of all this is we get to get together with my buddies.
Right.
I'll be right back. Be right back.
You know, I watched some of the Browns. I watched first half and a couple drives of the second half with the Jets and the Steelers, and then I watched some quality football with the Lions and the Vikings.
Right.
Rather than wasting my fucking time on the other nonsense, because I want to watch good football. And right now, that's teams not out of Cleveland or not out of New York right now. You know, the Lions. I love the energy with the Lions. What they're doing up there. Is Dan Campbell the coach? I think.
Yeah. I want to actually talk about that actually because I think if there's something to really compare to team wise and to look at something that can be turned around in a really a hurry and no excuses with this team. I mean, they come in, they get the guys that they want, and they're off and running, and that's the end of the game. I mean, and then you got us every year, another excuse, another injury, another something. It's always something is the reason why we suck. There's always something. And then a team like them can just come waltzing right in and to be like, oh, We don't. So, yeah.
And the funny thing is, you're right, Brian. And the funny thing is with that is that,
I love it.
they dumped off Matt Stafford a couple of years ago, who was one of the all-time great Lions players for them. He had a great career. It was a good move for him. But they're doing with Jared Goff. Jared Goff is the highest-rated quarterback. He doesn't have the most yards, but he's playing pretty damn close to flawless football right now.
Yeah.
For them. Jared Goff. I mean, he's.
Well,
We'd both be much better to have him playing on our teams.
Oh yeah. I hope to get him when he was drafted.
I mean, let me ask you guys the question then. Do you guys believe then that, because we're seeing this all over the NFL right now, where these quarterbacks that seem to have been busts in the NFL have been somehow resurrected in some way, shape, or form? We've seen it a lot with a lot of these quarterbacks.
Maybe they're coaching to their strengths.
Well, so my question then is it coaching? I mean, literally, is this about a scheme that a head coach brings to a team that coincides with a quarterback, and then bringing in the right pieces for? Like, I still stand by my belief that DeAndre Hopkins was a huge part of Watson's success. I think that when you have a weapon, I think you're going to see a horribly downgrade in Baker Mayfield right now without his two weapons. They're not. He don't have them. So you're gonna suck now.
Yep.
For the most part.
And the Vikings finally lost.
Which is why I say Tom Brady was such a great quarterback, in my opinion, because he never had great wide receivers, and he somehow did that shit. Even though a lot of people would say the refs help him like they do with.
I mean, his wideouts weren't
Deflated.
bad; they were just a little short.
Anyway.
And white.
It's the thing about a great quarterback, though. Everybody talks about, well, if they had time to throw. Great quarterbacks create time to throw, not just by scrambling around by Lamar Jackson, but they get rid of the ball fast. They don't take a lot of sacks. They know when to throw the ball out the field. They look off defenders. Brady made everybody look better. To your point, whatever receiving core he got thrown in with, he made them look great. I mean, Gronkowski was a hell of a great player for him. I mean, he was like Novacek, and who was the other Cowboys tight end? Jay Novacek, and there was another one after him.
Not Dallas Clark.
We talked. Yes.
Yeah.
They had two in a row, great tight ends that you dumped the ball to, kept everything moving. Yeah, but guys like Brady, the ones that are truly great, they make their lines look better. I don't know. And you mentioned Baker, I will tell you right now, passing yards in the league, not that means necessarily anything, but isn't it curious? Geno Smith, a high draft choice for the Jets, cast off. He's got the most passing yards in the league right now. You know who's number 2? Baker Mayfield.
I know he does. And for what it's worth, I mean, yesterday was probably the first time I ever really even watched him, and I don't even know why I did. It was kind of weird. But anyways, I watched part of that game, and to me, and we could say what we want, it was definitely better than watching the Browns offense. I'll say that right now without even thinking twice about it. However, it looked like Baker Mayfield to me. He gets you to a point, and then he does some fucking crazy shit. And the truth of the matter is, I still stand by what I say about Baker. I think Baker has a lot of great tools. I think he's got an incredible arm. I think he's incredibly accurate when he sees it, what he's throwing. My problem with Baker was I think it's evident, just like it is with Watson, that he couldn't see parts of the field. And so like he would be blinded by things. That pass he threw into the end zone yesterday for the pick, that was a blatant. He did not see any of that. I don't even know why the fuck he threw that. I was like, that's an old Baker right there, where he can't see what he's doing sometimes. And I think that's why he's always going to be a middle of the road kind of a guy. And I think they knew that. I don't think getting Watson is what got rid of Baker Mayfield. That's another thing. I think it's a misnomer. I think people they get it in their head. He came in, that's why Baker had to leave. Baker left it's a whole different story. We don't even have to get back into that story, but it's just an interesting thing. I don't know. The whole thing is fucked up. I'll just be honest. I mean, you can't really put your finger on it. You can sit here all day and try to put your finger on any of this stuff. And the bottom line is, I said it before, 2 owners, same results. 57 coaches, same results. 150 quarterbacks, same results. It just never matters. I remember Jeff sent me a text one day. He goes, "I'm starting to believe it is a curse." I mean, like you almost can't even like use logic to explain some things anymore, because how can everything be poorly run? How can everybody be the worst coach? How can everybody be the worst quarterback? How the whole fucking thing about numbers and analytics says that's not even possible. It's not even possible to be this bad this long. And here we are. Here we are.
I feel like the good news is the dome is official. I would do a rebuild now. We have the second oldest team in the league. If they do rebuild now, by the time they're starting to get better, we will be moving. It's like, why hold up? These guys are mailing it in, collecting a paycheck. They celebrate every little decent play they make instead of concentrating on the game. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
100%. 100%. It drives me insane. You made a tackle. Good for you.
That's what you're paid for.
I know. Yeah,
make an interception.
I'm second and jiving. Get your ass back to the huddle. Do it.
It's why people love Nick Chubb, right?
Act like you've done it before. It's not I get it. You want to show your swag. Good for you.
I don't even know what that's all about.
Suck.
They don't have any.
You suck. You're 1-6.
Like, buy your hype instead of
shut
about the
game. Fuck up. Yeah. Play football. Tackle people. Wrap them up and bring them down.
Yep.
Isn't that why people love Nick Chubb? Isn't that why they love him? Is because he gets the ball in the left and walks back to the ball and then runs you over again. And
then they didn't run him in the
he looked like Nick Chubb a little bit there. I mean, he looked a little rusty, but you know what, dude? That fucking guy looked like Nick Chubb. I was like, that motherfucker. I think he actually fucking may pull this thing. I think he might pull this fucking thing off. I don't even know what to think about that.
Barely is worthless when it comes to the draft. They need to have somebody that's in charge of the draft. Maybe the scouts suck.
You know, dude, we are so fucked, aren't we? Our when you see the whole picture, like people don't see the whole picture. But, you know, the casual football fan who, you know, they're the ones that constantly comment on things and do things, but they don't understand how fucked we really are. The fact that you just got coach of the year and executive of the year and assistant coach of the year and all those things kind of put you into a corner that you're not going to easily just walk out of that corner. Nobody's just going to fire these guys and say and then have them walk away and be successful somewhere else and make you look like a complete fucking idiot. That's not going to happen. So we are, if you think it's the coach, you're fucked. If you think it's the owner, you're fucked, because he's just 2009. That stadium's going to be done, so he's the owner till at least that fucking long. And basically, what else are you going to do? I mean, what change are you going to make? They just made Watson just made the change for you at quarterback.
It's not the owner. It's not the owner. You can only hire so many guys. Heckert was the last good GM.
So you think it's totally on the GM right now? Are you? I mean, would you say that that's like how much % of the problem would you put on Andrew Berry?
I would. Go ahead, Jeff.
4 picks out of 31 are worth the shit. That says a lot.
It's a good point. Very good point.
He cannot draft to save his ass. He's drafted a lot of guys who get injured, a lot of guys who can't stay healthy, who underperform. Their body language sucks, like Jed Wills. Wills. I honestly, I don't even know. You can't really point to like one guy and say that's the great Andrew Berry pick. Okay, I can pick one. Jock.
Yep.
Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's probably, you could say that guy's the guy that panned out.
But again, he was almost like a Myles Garrett pick at that point. He was the winner. What's the winner for the best linebacker in college?
Bednarik.
He got that award. He was just awarded that trophy, and then so he comes out and he makes it to the second round, and we're looking for a linebacker. I mean, it wasn't that hard of a pick to take him. So it's not as if it was like, oh wow, man, like that. You really, went out of your way to make that pick, and you look like a genius. It was actually a pick that anybody, the 4 squares I'm looking at, we would have made that pick. So I'm not really going to give him much for that. People keep saying him, but I think that was a no-brainer. That was like Myles Garrett,
Oh, 100%.
So do you guys think we should rebuild? I mean, are you saying that? I mean, let me ask you a question. You watch a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I hate to keep bringing them up, but how do you not? All right. I mean, like, here we go again. They have they have two guys that we've had as our quarterback 46 times on our team and have been miserable with. Two guys the same level of worth, and those guys are winning consistently with this team. And these are guys that have been around for a while. This defense is not exactly a young defense. Do you want to scrap our defense? Do you want to just get rid of all these dudes, start over? That's like a 3-4 year process. Or do we say, okay, here's where the issues are. We need to work on these things and go from there. What do you guys say?
I personally wouldn't do a full rebuild. We've done it before. It was miserable. I don't know if you can put, especially when you got a new stadium that's going to be built and you're trying to sell the public on it. And for whatever reason, they act like moving to Brook Park is moving to Baltimore all over again. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
But it's like, then on the Watson thing and everything like that, people are, I'll talk about the fans later. I got a rant on that one. But to me, it's like, I don't know if you can justify totally like ripping it down and saying, okay, we're going to build it back up with draft picks, and then say, here you go, Andrew, you make all these draft picks when clearly your draft record sucks. I would point out maybe 6 or 7 guys and say, okay, you guys are the ones we're going to build around. Whether you're in it or not, you better be. If not, then get the fuck out, and we're going to build around you. And the time to rebuild is done. I think you need to reload, and we've never been able to really reload.
They might have a really good first round pick this year,
How long is a career in the NFL anymore? I mean,
4 years.
The Dome will be 2008 or 9. I mean, you keep these guys; they're going to be age veterans by then, and like a second oldest team in the league, you got to go young, and you need to rebuild up to the top. Barry can't keep drafting.
Well, that's a given.
See, then I don't understand. Okay, so here's my point. Here's my problem with that then. If you can't draft, then why do you rebuild? Because you have to rebuild through the draft.
Because your draft is the real core of your team.
Yeah,
he gets lucky on these free agent signings, but they don't last forever. They're already
always hurt.
They're into their careers. They're not going to be here.
All his free agent signings get hurt. All of his.
The best team recently was 2020, and all those guys were playing for their next contract.
That's a good point. Good point right there. See that on Mosh Pit, you get good points like that one right there.
Yeah, Chubb playing for a contract, Ward playing for a contract, Mayfield playing for a contract.
42.
Garrett was playing for a contract.
Now we've extended a lot of contracts too this past off season. We did a lot of we handed out a lot of dough. I mean the Haslams, so what do we think about the Haslams? I mean
I don't blame them. They're willing to throw money around. They hire any top coach they can get. I don't blame the Haslams a bit. Everybody wants to. They can only hope for what they want out of their players. They can't make them play.
It's just, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I don't know. I really don't have an opinion about. I do and I don't. I mean, like I do think they're mingling owners. I do. I think that there's a part of me that thinks that they mingle a little bit too much, and I think that sometimes they make bad decisions. I do believe that happens. If I have a fault with them, it's that. Period. That's it.
Dallas loses pretty regularly lately this year, it seems, and they have them mingling as stoner.
Well, that's there, and there you go. I guess that's my point exactly.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about the Haslams. I believe that when they came into the league, the NFL decided they were going to like babysit them, and they surrounded them with all like who is that one guy? Joe. His name is Joe. I forgot what his last name was, but they made him like the CEO of the team, Joe Banner. And the NFL forced them to come together. They didn't know each other, and clearly it didn't work. And Joe Banner was a disaster, and he brought in Lombardi. And then he was like trying to like, okay, I want to win. This guy sucks next. This guy sucks next. And it was like he had to learn how to kind of be an owner on the fly. And he is showing patience, which is nice for once, and it is nice to see cohesiveness in the front office with the coaching staff, and we haven't had that since he bought the team, and it's nice to see. But it's like now you've made all these steps forward over the past 4 or 5 seasons, and now you're back to where you were when Hugh Jackson was the head coach, and you paid all this money for all these guys, and I'm going to throw Watson in there too. I've defended him before, but he's underperformed grossly on his contract, but it's across the board. The line has underperformed. They were paid a lot. You had Cooper underperform. He was paid a lot. Ward has always been injured. He's been paid a lot. Garrett has underperformed. He's been paid a lot. So it's like, when do you stop giving them the money and when do you say, okay, enough's enough? And when do what do you determine? You determine that it's Stefanski that's the problem? Is it him and Dorsey that's always been the problem, that it just doesn't work? Is it Balti Podesta and his little analytics plan that is finally not?
He is a constant. He is a constant throughout all this other. So you can't really discard him either. I mean, and nobody really with him has ever known really his full, like what his job really was. I mean, no one has ever really defined that, I think. And so you don't know how much really power he has as far as that goes. So, and he's been a constant throughout. So you can throw his name in there. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it was his decision to hire Stefanski and Barry, and then
he wanted Stefanski when they did Kitchens, and then Dorsey hired Kitchens, and that's what got Dorsey.
We could have had Buffalo. We could have Buffalo's coach, and they blew that.
Oh, McDermott, yeah.
And now he's been coach of the year twice. And again, I'm going to say it, in this league, you're not coach of the year 2 years out of 4 and you get fired. It's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. So and Barry's not going to go anywhere. They just extended the contract. None of that's happening. Period.
Coach of the year is a worthless title.
It should
have been the guy. It should have been the guy I just brought up the first time he won it.
Because if you fire the guy who's coach of the year 2 years out of 4 and he goes to another team and has success, you look like the stupidest motherfucker. And these guys aren't going to do that. They're not going to make that.
Dorsey should have called plays this year. He should have delegated. That would have been a coach of the year move.
I think we're going to see Stefanski for a while.
I think
he'll be around for a while.
I think Vrabel is going to have a job here real soon.
Dude, listen. To be honest with you, I would like to see what you're saying come
for
true.
Whatever reason it's not working. You got to blame somebody. They're not going to fire the team.
Well, it's not working. I mean, let's just be honest. This offense, we can blame everybody in the world you want to blame as far as players go, but it's still the coach's job to run plays that these guys can run. I mean, whatever their skill level is their skill level. I don't know what to say, but this offense literally sucks. And the play calling for one, because I never really had a problem with play calling. I know I've heard a lot of people say it. I think play calling complaining is always hindsight. I think that's literally you see the play and then you hate the play because it was not successful. But I have questioned, like, there's a lot of times where I'm like, well, dude, that just didn't seem like a lot of the end around shit that he pulls at the times that he pulls it. A lot of times, especially when our line is getting zero push and they're just almost like inept. And then he's going to play that requires like precise blocking and stuff like that. And it's like it just gets blown up every fucking time. And it's like, dude, what? It's like, what? Are you watching the same fucking game that I'm watching? That's when I get upset with the play calling, because it's like, dude, you called a play that I think every single person watching this game knew had absolutely zero chance to work in this game, and it's almost like he's been that way since day one. It's like he walks into the game with something on his fucking mind, and no matter what, that shit's gonna happen. And it's like the outcome of the game and the way the game plays out doesn't even matter. It's gonna be his way. And sometimes that's the shit that irks me about Stefanski and his play calling and that kind of shit. But that's it. I'll leave it at that.
I got to tell you guys, Jeff, I'm with you. I would elevate Vrabel and blow that guy out of here. You know what, Ryan? I understand what you're saying, Big Bri, about if he goes somewhere and has success. But, fans have a short memory. If they win, neither team is going to get Belichick. I don't really want Belichick, but I'll tell you what. Was it Brady or was it Belichick? It was a combination of two, but nonetheless, Belichick has prepared teams. He doesn't come in with teams that have all kinds of stupid pre-snap penalties. He doesn't tolerate it. He'll blow a good player out, no problem, and he'll put the next guy in. But unfortunately, I don't see Bill Belichick going to either the Browns or the Jets. The Jets definitely not in this lifetime. And I don't think he'd go to the Browns again either. But he would go to a team that would offer him complete control. That's what he's going to want, and he's earned it. He should get it, and then we'll see what he can do. But Jeff, I'm with you. I would elevate Vrabel because he's going to get taken. Let Stefanski move on. I mean, at this point,
he might want to. At this
it
point.
wasn't. He might want to escape from Alcatraz or whatever he's talking.
He might be like, you know what, this fucking Cleveland shit's insane.
Yeah. Exactly. He can go all around the league and say, "Do you guys know I was 2-time coach of the year in fucking Cleveland?"
Yeah. Shanahan's PowerPoint. And
then he'll go find out what he can do. I think that Jeff, I agree. Vrabel. He's going to get snatched up. He's a hot commodity. He's the top 3 on everybody's list of potential head coaches next year.
Yeah, Titans were coached well.
It would definitely be a popular thing, and if you're looking to like revitalize the fan base, that would be one way to absolutely do something like that.
The thing about Vrabel, well, number one, he's from Cuyahoga Falls, so he's a local Northeast.
That's Ohio. What I mean, exactly.
Played for Walsh Jesuit, played for Ohio State, played for the Surrey Steelers. Then he went to New England, and he became Vrabel. Then he went to the Chiefs. His teams always have been very well coached. They're very tough. They're a very physical team. They're not flashy. Their offense was never like, the best offense in the world. They
never had a great quarterback.
Ryan
did all right with Tannehill.
That was their best quarterback.
That was their best quarterback, and he was a game manager. He got the best out of him.
Well, in their defense,
but they also had Derrick Henry running the ball too, and they had a good line, and they had a very good defense.
Yeah.
So and they made the playoffs. They did beat New England. He's a Belichick disciple, so he knows all of the Bill Belichick tricks and whatevers. I mean, I think it would be a good PR move.
That's what I agree.
Yeah, and have him be in on the draft. Don't let Barry do it himself.
Well, and now they got this stadium going up. You got to, things will coincide. They will plan things out. There will be, just like, I don't know if you guys remember when Jacobs Field went up, but everything just so happened to go all at the same time. It was like, boom.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you they would love for a similar event like that, so if you're looking at it from that perspective, a complete blow up would make more sense at this point than trade everybody away, get all your draft picks, get a new coach, get a new everything in here. And then in 5 years, when this thing is done, then boom, shaka laka, your team should be ready to go and ready, locked and loaded. Now,
I mean, they can't stay the second oldest team in the league. It's like,
well, the problem with that theory is still that none of us, not one person in this panel or probably watching right now, believes that Barry can make that work because he won't utilize those draft picks that you're trading for properly. So you really are, again, we're stuck until certain things have to change or none of it matters, I guess, really, if you look at it from that perspective. Am I wrong? Is that, I mean, really, like if it's like, if Barry, no matter what we say, if Barry doesn't go, then we're fucked because
I will say this: if they make Barry the scapegoat for the Deshaun Watson trade, then he will be fired. I think there's no question about that.
I don't think it was him though.
But do you think
it probably wasn't? But
isn't there enough out there now that says that everybody pretty much knows what exactly happened on that one? Like, can Haslam even pull that off at this point? I mean, like,
I don't know that it was entirely Haslam. It could have been Di Podesta a lot.
Well, but
I mean, they're all about analytics.
I think they're like two. I think they're like one and the same type thing. I think when it comes to football, he goes to Di Podesta for all his, what do you think, Paul? What should I do here?
But I would have rather took my chance in the draft that we lost the picks for Watson and OBJ because there's so many good players coming out in both of those eras, and we blew it.
Yeah,
the guy that we might have got ended up a Jet or not a Jet, a
Texan.
Yeah, one of them. But I'm talking about, he ended up a Giant, the guy right in the middle of their line on defense. And he's why we got murdered in that game.
Oh, yeah. I forgot the guy's name. Yeah.
Lawrence something or whatever. But
so
yeah, I mean,
are you guys leaning then towards a blow up? Coincide, like maybe to get this team back. I mean, God, dude, I can't believe we're talking like this.
It has to be at last half the team goes. It has to be.
Yeah.
So all these people underachieving and collecting their paychecks. It's like so plain as day. It's ridiculous.
How does that happen?
They don't even try. How you blow all those?
But I guess So then explain something to me, guys. How does it happen? Like, how is another team like? Everybody has guys that make lots of money. Everybody's making all this money. Everybody's playing the same fucking game. Everybody's doing the same shit. And yet we have this problem. This ain't the first time that we're saying this about players. This has gone on for decades, actually. I mean, you can go back how long where guys have been just completely taking money and then just like on, fuck you. Thank you very much.
When we got the expansion team, the wrong guy was over the team. He hired a fucking guy from San Francisco that had nothing to do with their success.
So what is it
though?
They
bring in a GM who never did it before. It's all ridiculous. It's been going the same way since it got back.
So who's going to correct this shit?
It's the Pet Cemetery Browns. They've never stopped.
So how do you fix it then? How does it get fixed? What do you do?
I would let Dorsey call the plays the rest of the season. What do they have to lose? You can't go run and be long on third down every damn drive and expect to win.
You think a different play caller is going to give them a fucking chance?
Why not? Well, look at the playoff
I'm not
game.
saying it will not.
Look at the playoff game when Stefanski was in his basement. Destroyed Pittsburgh.
Well, then again, they played that game in front of nobody.
Yeah,
that was the best. When that ball went over Roethlisberger's head,
it
was the best.
I mean, Saleh won the playoff game against Stefanski, and then we hired Stefanski. Where's Saleh now?
Gone.
Dun, 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 Stefanski got murdered in that game. He was the offensive coordinator for the Vikings.
Yeah.
He hasn't really done anything amazing here. I'm sorry. And we have to fix this. The guy won't really say what's wrong. He talks as little as he has to.
No, I agree. I mean, and again, Belichick did the same thing, but he won. It's a completely different thing. You look like a genius when you're winning and not telling anybody how. You look like a douchebag when you're losing and not telling anybody how. I mean, it's two completely different worlds. It's just like everything in sports. Everything changes when you win, right? Everything, every fucking aspect of everything. The exact same scenarios can play out, but if they're winning at the end, then you look like a genius. That's just the way it works.
And Winston was named the starter, and they signed Zappy.
Yeah, and now they got a problem with Jameis Winston. It's like sometimes things happen, and I scratch my head, and I'm like, I don't get you guys, man. You guys don't make sense sometimes. I seriously, I mean, like, I thought Jameis Winston was their backup. I thought that was the whole fucking purpose of everything. And then now they keep acting like, well, DTR, we're gonna hope his finger's okay. Like, what? I mean, I don't know. Am I missing something here, dudes? I mean,
the DTR thing might play into the whole rebuild.
But you're not. That's not your guy. I mean,
no, he's not. He's not.
Help me and tell me to God.
But if you're looking to tank for a high draft pick, there he is.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I think
Winston. Dangle him? You're saying they're dangling him, is what you're saying. They're dangling him out there for people to look at. Maybe someone will get a second rounder for him or something.
DTR.
Is that what you're thinking?
Well, I mean, they're throwing him out there basically just to see what he has, and if somebody will throw them a 4th round pick for the dude when you drafted the 5th round, then hell yeah, you run that to the bank. But the thing is, though,
I'm not a fan. That's all. I'm just not.
I don't like DTR. I think he's too skinny. I think he relies too much on his legs. He's
gonna get killed. He's gonna
yeah. And clearly, I mean, he was in it for 2 quarters, and he injured his finger.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing last year. They had him. He played 2 games, in the second game against Denver, something happened, and we never saw him again.
They were beating him up.
Yeah, they were. But that's the nature of the beast. He's not built for the NFL.
Well, but people, it's funny, dude. People will point to things like Lamar Jackson and they're like, oh, but look at him. And like, but dude, he's a freak. And I don't think
he's built like a running back.
He is, but he's still thin. No, he's still a thin dude. He's just
he was heavier.
He's a freak. That guy's a freak. All right, let's just say it like it is. I mean, sometimes he gets hit. I don't know how he gets back up. Sometimes I'm like, that motherfucking guy never. You can't get that guy down. Even when we got him down that one game, he came back out and fucking beat us at the end.
And then Monday night game, I remember that one.
The worst game. One of the worst.
I tell you what, guys. I don't know. I don't think any Browns fan is going to like this idea. I think it would be worth exploring blowing up the whole fucking thing, rebranding the team, dumping the name because the name is terrible. Nobody cares about Paul Brown anymore. The helmet is garbage. It's a I just go to the new stadium, rebrand the whole thing because how many teams have never been to a Super Bowl in the NFL?
4.
Yeah,
we're one of them.
Yep.
The Browns, the Lions, the Jaguars, and the Texans.
Yeah.
And the Jaguars and the Texans have only been around within the last 30 years.
Yep. So it's it comes to a point. Look, I can tell you the Jets issue. One of the Jets issues is that they're dysfunctional because they always feel like the stepchild in Giant Stadium. They haven't had their own home since Shea, and Shea was a shithole. I saw Namath playing Shea. It was one of those awful Mets, Indians. I'm sorry, like old Cleveland Stadium. A baseball infield
combination, yeah.
Clouds of dust, and you throw on it. It was a wind tunnel. How Namath didn't have 400 interceptions in his career? That I don't know. It was a shithole. I mean, but then they go and they move to the Meadowlands, and they said they just had that Mekhi Beckham, who was a first round high pick bust for them on the offensive line. I forget who he went to. He's now being critical of him. Said, I never want to play in that place. I hate that field. And he said, I hated being in there because I'd look over we got one thing from 55 years ago on the Jets side, one trophy that Namath got for us. He said, I look over at the Giants side and they got what, 4, 5? And they were all in the last 30 years or whatever. They're not, the Giants were great 100 years ago with Frank Gifford and all that. Nobody cares about that in this era. The Browns are still talking about glory years of, again, Dante Lavelli and Otto Graham.
It's all we got.
Those guys. It's like we're talking about. It's like talking about Bronco Nagurski to somebody. At some point, nobody cares.
Kozar is too far away. Nobody cares about that.
You have museums for that reason. Okay,
generations only no losers.
Yeah, you can go down and see Bronco Nagurski's size 27 ring, and whatever it is, it becomes to a point where they've held on to that so long, and I think maybe just blowing the whole damn thing up and getting a fresh start at a new house that'll be it'll be best in class. Right, this place at Brook Park is going to.
Oh yeah, they're not going to fuck around with this thing. You could tell. It's going to be beautiful.
Do I want to see a big orange pumpkin? I don't know. I like orange, but at some point, maybe it's tired. And I'd say do the same fucking thing with the Jets. They can't do a damn thing. They stink. They were showing the graphic the other night. I think they said with Mike Tomlin, who I don't think is spectacular, but Mike Tomlin is consistently good. I think they said in the years that Pittsburgh's had Mike Tomlin, the Jets have either 5 or 6 head coaches, or maybe it was 8. I think it was a stupid number. The continuity with either of these teams is terrible. So I don't know what it is, but how do you just continue to have coaches come in, regime changes? We're always getting high draft choices because the teams both stink. Can't develop quarterbacks. Oh my God! We should do what that fella Shaggy said last week. Start drinking heavily. Hey, I'll make you guys happy for a minute here. Let me make you guys happy.
Go ahead. I
remember that.
A real fucking football player.
Yeah,
never took a day off.
That was
and he did that.
That was the cover after we beat the Jets in the double overtime game in '86.
Oh my God, dude!
I have that. I still have that magazine too. Somewhere.
I left.
Oh, I was at that miserable game.
Me too. I
knew it'd make you guys happy.
I
shut
it off and took a shower and came back and I was like, what?
Put me into a 10-year NFL depression. But for you guys, because you're my pals, I want to brighten your show for you.
That's a cool. That's very cool that you have that. Actually,
nice artifact.
You got a lot of stuff like that, huh? You got a lot of artifacts and old magazines and stuff, don't you?
Well, yeah, that's too much junk.
No,
Yeah. I was so irritated with that shit last week. Normally, I read books like The Closing of the American Mind, Facing Reality, The Truths About Two Races in America by the great Charles Murray, Diversity Delusion by the great Heather McDonald. Last week, after what NFL, I had to pull out Weekly Reader from 1968, Clifford's Holiday. Because my brain was just discombobulated watching that.
Wrap your head around nothing else. It was just like, what am I watching?
It's nothing like being a kid back in 68 or 69 when it's the reading lab and you got $2 in your pocket and you buy about 4 or 5 cool books.
True story. I wasn't born yet, but I know if I was, it would be. That's what I.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh my God. Anyway, so football. We gotta get back to that awesome. I mean, dude, I'm wondering now, like we won 11 games last year. I mean, it seems like that never even happened. It was
what the hell?
Was that just a complete fluke? Is that what you would say last year was now? I mean, like what? How did we do it with no quarterbacks? And how did we do it? Like, I don't even know what the fuck is really going on anymore.
We had nobody's playing offensive line that actually did their job.
So
that Christian guy could play.
There's a lot to be said about this. Go ahead.
Defense was a lot better last year. Schwartz had them playing out of their ass. The line was a lot better last year because Callahan. The offense was better last year. Watson actually put up points last year before he got hurt. Not like this year. And then Flacco comes in at the end and basically just discovers the fountain of youth and is slinging it all down the field. And it's like, oh my God, what the hell?
Or did he mesh well with Stefanski's offense and therefore kind of like was able to like?
Yeah, because the coach has to play to the strength of the players sometimes.
Dude, exactly. That is exactly what I think what I'm trying to say about Stefanski. Is he the problem because does he force his way onto the scene versus I think the coaches that are great. I think the coaches that are great are like chameleons, right? I mean, like they can change and become whatever the successful ones do.
You want to keep your job, you have to.
Well, look at you want to bring up Pittsburgh. I think that's the longevity of a guy like, God forbid I say this, but when Coward was their coach, he went through a whole bunch of different kinds of quarterbacks and was able to find some okay, what's the word I'm looking for? Some simulation,
symbiotic.
Some kind of
one terrible guy though.
They were pretty successful with and I think you got to be able to do that. And for whatever reason, I don't think Stefanski's very bendable. I think that was the whole reason he brought Dorsey in because he's not as creative enough to do whatever was necessary without Dorsey, and I think it ended up being a disaster. And it very much really could get him fired. I mean, crazier things in the NFL have happened where guys get signed, re-signed, and then fired the next year. All that shit's happened before. It wouldn't be unprecedented.
It hasn't improved.
Well, to point out, we bringing up the 2-time Coach of the Year award and defending Coach of the Year. Vrabel actually won a Coach of the Year award in between Stefanski's two, and the Titans fired him. So to me, it's not what have you done? It's what have you done for me lately.
Good point.
And I say this, we talk about Watson. Yeah, I mean, first 4 years in Houston, he was a top 10 elite NFL quarterback. Here he is not. And there's a lot you can go into. Whatever factors you want to go into about that. The fact of the matter is he came here and he became a Cleveland Browns quarterback. Yeah. Because we've had some shitty fucking NFL quarterbacks. And he became the next one in line. And I don't know what it is, but, people want to, we talk about, he threw for 4,000 yards. And, he had that awesome half against Baltimore, but that was in the past. What has he done lately? And the same thing with Stefanski. What has he done lately? He's 1-6. He's not a Coach of the Year this year. He's not going to win it. And now he's got an offensive coordinator that they don't mesh at all, and you got an offense that doesn't have an identity, And now you brought this guy in for the one guy that you paid all this money to, and now he's done. So now what do you do?
At some point, didn't he put his ass out on the line by bringing in a guy like Dorsey and saying, "Hey, this is the way we're going to do it. This is going to work. We're going to unlock Deshaun Watson. We're run this incredible offense. Everything's going to be great. I got it all figured out." At some point, didn't Stefanski put his ass on the line and make kind of promises that now he can't cash these checks? That isn't that kind of what we're seeing right now? Where it's like, dude, whatever you said you could do with Watson, you failed miserably. Now he's done. Now who knows what could have ever happened? And now what are you going to do?
Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, but I don't think you could still save this season. This season's washed. I mean, you're done.
I'm saying
you're going to spend the rest of the season now. What? Either getting rid of dudes or go ahead.
That's the plan moving forward.
Do you really believe that, or do you think is that more wishful thinking?
I mean, what do you think they're going to be 3 and whatever?
I don't even see how they win another game.
They don't have a chance. No.
Go look at their schedule. Go point out the one they win.
Think about it. Game.
The thing they're going to do too is, and Jeff, I agree with you right from the beginning when you said Vrabel, because I think Vrabel, no matter what, and Dan, I forgot he had that coaching stint in there. It just seems like he's been around for a while. I remember in the 70s, there was a guy by the name of Chuck Knox. Everywhere Chuck Knox went, Chuck Knox, I don't think ever won a Super Bowl as a head coach, but he got jobs over and over again with teams because he could take a team that was bad to mediocre and make them a playoff contender. He couldn't get them to an AFC NFC championship game or a Super Bowl win, but you knew if you hired Chuck Knox, your team was immediately going to be respectable within a year or two. And he would lose those jobs because he'd be there 3-4 years, and then they'd get mad because he couldn't quite get them to a championship, and they'd move on. So,
it's a gleam.
Yep, Marty Schottenheimer, same exact guy.
It's a gleam.
He would come. He was here. He came here and turned the Browns into an exciting team, but he could never get over that hump.
But it's more fun to be that but it's more fun to be at least competitive and get frustrated at the end than to suck for the whole 4 months.
I've thought about what you just said on 100 different occasions since Marty Schottenheimer, and I will say that 100%. I think what I learned since that was 89 when he got fired, 88 after the 88 season he got fired. Yeah. So I was 18 years old. What I've learned since then, that yes, I would never ever fire Marty Schottenheimer again. I would keep that guy for the end of time. That guy we won with that dude. And eventually, if we would have kept him, we would have probably won a Super Bowl eventually. We probably would have won a Super Bowl. But within 2 years, we didn't win one. We were like, oh my God, we're too good for this. Well,
they can't
ever since.
They can't let Vrabel leave the building.
I agree. I'd go with him. I agree with you, Jeff. He should be the heir apparent, and they should be laying all the groundwork, setting the roadmap up this year for that to be a transition. Stefanski knows he probably, like we said earlier, would probably welcome an opportunity to move on and take his pedigree of 2 awards off to somewhere else, and maybe he'll be a
coordinator. He'll end up a coordinator again.
Yeah.
Maybe that was what Haslam told him. He's like, look, I'll let you bring this fucking Dorsey in here, but I'm bringing in a head coach just in case this blows up, and then you're fucking out of here, Stefanski.
He should.
Yeah. I'd lay that groundwork.
It's a movie, if nothing else.
But the shitty part is he just extended him though, so it's like
yeah, but he loves to give away money. That fucking dude. I swear,
money.
Yeah, he don't give a fuck about money, dude.
At least it's not draft picks.
And you extend a GM who can't draft. That should be their main job.
And there was a lot of weird things that went even into the extension. Like everyone was getting extended, but they weren't. It almost seemed like they should have been extended first and then went down the line, secure the brass. I mean, that's usually the order of business, but they didn't. They went and all the players got extended. Then at the end they were. And I was always like, maybe they won't. Maybe they're going to make them play out one more year. Maybe Haslam's kicking himself right now for not playing out one more year. But
and the thing about it is, guys, we've talked about before, the owners have egos. They're guys everybody has an ego, but with Saleh, it's funny. He's getting paid $20,000 a day for 2 years, for the next 2 years to sit home. $20,000 a day.
Awesome.
That's pretty damn good. He's out doing stuff with his kids and shopping. Did he get it? Did he have to go home and lick his wounds? Sure. I go home and lick my wounds for $20,000 a day.
Yeah.
100%.
Tough
I would love to do nothing for $20,000 a day.
Yeah. And but so they, as long as you're not giving up draft picks, the money's always there with all the owners. But I did read that the reason why they dumped Saleh is because Woody Johnson was furious, embarrassed in London and that game against the Vikings. They said he has a lot of business dealings and he has family over there, and he had everybody and their brother there that turned out, and they got their asses kicked and they got humiliated. He said he could not take that. Said it just that pushed him over the edge. So the money, there's always money to hire a guy. Dan, you mentioned earlier you want to cook on the fans' reaction. I'd love to hear you go.
Yes, I do. So we talk about things that might be a factor in why the Browns aren't very good. I say the fan base. Our fan base is toxic as fuck.
Oh yeah,
100%, man. We bring a guy in, and immediately we want to cast him down and cut him up, and pick this part and that part. Deshaun Watson comes in and immediately, we don't like this guy. He did this and this and this off the field, and then they won a game, but he didn't throw 250 yards. We pay him $250 million. He should throw 250 yards a game. Blah blah blah. And it's like every single thing. It's always a complaint about. And that's everybody. It's not just him. You can go back up to people were complaining. I was complaining about Baker Mayfield. Everybody was.
Yeah, he's a Brown.
Yeah, and Sunday's game. I'm going to go take you back to 2002. The Browns are playing the Baltimore Ravens on a Sunday night. They made the playoffs that year, if you may recall. But Tim Couch is in his third season, not playing very well that particular game. They were losing pretty bad. Couch fumbles the snap, or he gets a snap over his head. He runs back. He picks it up. He gets drilled in the end zone. He stands up for a second and falls right down. He's knocked unconscious. Fans started to cheer at that. And it touched off a pretty, Couch was pretty upset after the game and everything like that. And and of course, it's on national television and the national media. Those horrible Browns fans. How classless of them. And I was pissed. I was there, and I was about ready to fight somebody. But it hurts. Don't cheer somebody that you're on your own team that's hurt, and he's seriously hurt. He can't even stand up. What the fuck is your problem? Sunday, this dude, who nobody likes, takes a snap, plants his foot. You see his Achilles tendon just blow the fuck up, falls to a heap, and the people fans are cheering again. How fucking classless are you as a human being? He's a man like you and me. He just happens to make a lot of money and play fucking quarterback. God forbid he didn't play very good, but he got injured, and now you're happy that he's hurt. Fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I'm very ashamed of our fan base. It's been like this for decades. It's not just fucking yesterday or 2 days ago. It's ever since we came back in 1999. It's always been something. And granted, we've had a lot of fucking losing teams, a lot of miserable football in this town. I get it. We get it. But it's sports. It's not real life.
Yep.
Guess what? The Browns won Sunday. Guess what you get to do Monday? Go to your fucking job that you hate. It doesn't
paying your bills.
It ain't paying the bills, It's a distraction. It's an entertainment. It's something to just take your mind away from whatever for 3 hours on a Sunday. And if it sucks, you're pissed that you wasted those 3 hours. But you know what you're gonna do next Sunday? Watch them again, because that's what we do. So you know what? Be fucking classy. Shut up. Give a little applause. Hope that he's okay, and say, you know what? Next guy in. Let's see what he does. Don't stoop to that level. It's a shame you don't see Pittsburgh Steelers fans clapping when somebody they like gets injured that's on their team. It's I don't get it, and I think we as a fan base are getting in the way of our own success because we fucking run everybody out of this town. We ran Bill Belichick out of this town. We ran Brody Schottenheimer out of this town. We ran we didn't run Bernie Kosar out, but we probably would have. We ran Vinny Testaverde out of this town. Yeah. It's like.
Can I just say something real quick though about all this because I I've now heard some different stories about some of this stuff. The people that were down there, some of the people that are even on 92.3, Andy Baskins and stuff, said they were there and they didn't think that the cheering was all that loud at all. As a matter of fact, they didn't even realize it happened until they were told that it happened, and they were actually there. So I understand that I've been told that there was cheering that happened, but when you say things like I'm ashamed of our fan base, I think that there is literally, this is a minority. I don't think that this is the bulk of the fan base. I think that this is just a few people that were there, and I think they exist. I think that's part of it. Do you hate those people? Yeah, I think they suck ass. But I think that the media is going to blow this a little bit because they need a story. I mean, the story's way better if it's the fan base and not just 5 people, or it's probably more than that. I'm not. But what I am saying though is, I do think the majority of people are still fucking good people, and that this wasn't the majority of the people there. I don't agree with that.
I do see your point, and yeah, but the problem is one bad apple spoils the bunch.
Well, it's the way it is. You're right. And here's another problem, dude. Back in the day when I was going to the games, and when we were going to the games, that dude probably would have had his ass kicked right there at the game. I mean, like, I've seen many dudes get their asses beat at games for acting like an idiot. Well, nowadays that won't happen ever again.
Oh no,
they're so done now because you get sued. I mean, there's nothing that says go ahead and fight anymore. It's stupid. But back then, that was how things got settled. And even in games, I mean, like, shit happened in them stadiums. That stadium, dude. That's especially the old one. I mean, there was some shit that went down, and it was policed by the people a lot. So, like, there was things that happened that people didn't act like idiots. Now you can do whatever you want, pretty much, dude, and nobody. I mean, this is my belief. I
will tell you, as a somebody who used to go to those games at that old shithole stadium, supporting an opposing team. I saw the worst fucking behavior and the biggest fucking idiots and douchebags I've ever seen in any place in that old Cleveland Stadium. And it was exclusively Browns fans.
I was a douchebag there. I was one of them douchebags. I'm sorry.
This game? Well, no, but right, to Dan's point earlier, let's say it's 20%. 20% of assholes in any crowd makes a miserable experience for the other 80%.
I don't think it was 20% though. I don't think it was that many. This
game, I saw people out of the sacred dog pound throwing snowballs and shit at their own players with 10 minutes left in the game. And then they're all bored and they were leaving and they were cursing them, calling everybody's calling Ozzy's mother, grandmothers, and ancestors every name under the sun. And then 10 minutes later, oh my God, he's Ozzy. I'm telling you, I got in fights down that place. I had a cop I attempted to go get Freeman McNeil's autograph coming out of the thing when I was about 22 years old. I approach him. Suddenly, I get grabbed by 2 security guys. An older cop comes over and puts his stick against me and says, I'll crack your fucking skull in. Okay? I said,
how old were you?
Really?
How old were you?
Yeah, it's terrible. 22.
I'm going to tell you, I got in a fight. The first Browns game I went to on my own was in 77 because the Rams played the Browns, and I wanted to see, in hopes of Namath getting on the field instead of Pat Hayden. It was a shitty day. I went with my buddy who could drive. I couldn't drive yet. I had 5, 6 assholes who were all licking up behind me. They're all in their late 20s, early 30s, giving us shit the whole time. It was, I can't tell you, I got in fights down at that stadium at least 3, 4 times, and it could have been every time I went down there. I remember going to a Monday night game where the Bears were here. I think it was the one where Kosar threw for 8 gazillion yards that week. And I'm watching a guy go up the thing with his kid, and his kid's wearing a McMahon jersey, and there's people throughout the whole section saying, fuck you, and every other thing to this guy and his kid. Now, the thing that's different is at an Indians game, and I told you guys this, I think the first time I was ever with you. Indians game, you go to the Indians game, you see people with, I don't know, Yankees shirts, Boston Red Sox, Reds, whoever. They might make a comment, but nobody gets completely stupid over it. You go to a basketball game in the 80s, you saw Knicks stuff and Bulls stuff and Golden stuff. Nobody got stupid about it. Yeah, nobody got stupid about it. You might have a couple words here and there from a couple of drunks. But the football thing, God help me, it was that way all the fucking time. And no, of course it wasn't 100% of the fans. But if my kids are going to learn every bad word, they're going to learn it from me at home. They're not
from
going to learn
age
it from the
15.
drunks who get, and I used to have friends say to me, you don't understand. We're blue collar. We're blue collar. That's a poor excuse for being uneducated, stupid, and acting like a fucking douche. I went to a game with a buddy of mine at Rich Stadium years ago. You want to talk the most blue collar area in the planet? There's nothing up in that area. There's nothing in Buffalo. There's no alternative. They're going to support an NBA team. They don't have anything. They've got Rich Stadium in the middle of nowhere. I never saw so much beer consumed. My buddy, he said to me, "Hey, I got my buddy here." It was a Monday night game against Denver about 30 years ago. And he said, "My buddy here's a Jets fan." They gave me the Jets stink. And it was all good-natured after that. I was no threat of getting into a fight with 10 guys like it normally is. I took our buddy Ian Shipley to his wife asked me to take him to his first NFL game. I think it was 91 or 2. I told you guys the story because he decided he fell in love with Randall Cunningham.
Eagles.
Yep, yeah. He loved Randall Cunningham. He picked football. I like football now. I like Randall. Okay, that's great. And she said, "Would you take Ian to the game?" I said, "Why?" She goes, "I hear it's rough down there." So I had to secure his safe passage. That was a game they chipped away and won. And we're leaving. And he's like, they're giving me looks. I said, yeah, they're going to give you more than looks. Don't bother with anybody. You got to win. Let's get the hell out of here. I saw more bad behavior down there. I know it's not everybody. Of course it's not everybody because there's a lot of great fans. But I talked to a lot of people that were like me that say, you know what? I don't think I want to bring my kids down there anymore. I don't want to go down there and go through a gang of guys. And, you guys also might remember, Dan, you brought up that one instance. I don't know if you remember, there was in 2010, ESPN reports that a family alleges their 8-year-old son was tackled by a drunk and angry Browns fan after Sunday's loss to the Jets. The kid
I was going to bring that up.
His mother says Browns fans yelled at them and tossed food at them throughout the game. The parking lot, however, was where the alleged behavior turned violent. I mean, look.
I remember that.
And it always becomes, well, other places do it too. Okay, well then close them down. Stop the liquor sales. I know the Eagles used to have a big problem with that. And I'm sure there's a bunch of asshole Jet fans. I'm sure but then shut down the liquor.
Yeah.
Okay, shut it down. I mean, they went nuts in Philadelphia. Are you there to drink or are you there to watch football? And it's like going to a concert and somebody only can go up to throw liquored up and hurting somebody. Is that a good experience for the rest of the audience?
No.
Well, not to mention that you'll spend all your time going to these games drunk and you won't remember the games you actually went to. You'll be 50 years old, or in my case 54, and you'll be looking back at those games that you went to and you're like, I don't fucking remember any of that shit because I was loaded and it cost $100 to get there.
I was a season ticket holder for 4 years, from 2010 to 2014. And I tried tailgating one time, and it was miserable. I had to wake up early. I'm not a day drinker. I was awful. I hated it. I'm like, why do you guys do this every week? This is like the worst. I just want to watch the game. I want to enjoy the game. Hopefully watch them win. Walk out of there happy. If they lose, you're pissed off. You make the long walk to your car. You get in your car. You go home, and it's fine. But it's like, I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand the tailgating aspect of it. Like, I'm going to show up at 6 a.m. I'm going to drink my ass off. I'm going to go to a football game.
Yeah, it never works out. It doesn't work out for a lot of people, that whole tailgate thing too. A lot of times you don't see the game, and then if you do, you don't remember it. So
exactly.
It is what it is. So everybody teach their own. I'm a big believer in teach their own, whatever. But I understand what you're saying. If you get out of whack and you're getting a little too carried away, then that is too much, and too much is too much. And they need to do something about that, but I don't think they're ever going to, because they're charging $25 a beer, and as long as people are consuming $25 a beer, they don't give a fuck. They're going to be like, okay, yeah, you want to buy that? Okay, yeah, we'll give it to you.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. I mean, that's true, but they can sell a lot of merch too. And there's people who say, look, I'm going to spend what does it cost if somebody to take their 2-3 kids down with them? I mean, what's it going to cost them? $500? You go buy some merch. They're going to make a lot more on merchandise and shit and goodwill throughout the community, and it's important to, with your brand, perpetuate your next generation of fans.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, let's
rebuild.
Be honest. Let's just be honest. this city's lost 2 generations of fans. I mean, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. The reason I'm a diehard has a lot to do with my age. I mean, like I was at the perfect age when Kozar was great. I was actually the Sipe years when I was 10 years old, and Sipe is the thing. 10 years old is when you really start understanding football. Like if your dad's into football at 10, you understand what a first down is, and you understand like things start making sense to the game. Now you're like, oh yeah, I get it. So Sipe is the guy. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, what a fun team, right? And then Cardiac Kids, and like, man, that was just a lot of fun. Then
those were great years.
Yeah, and then you're not even a decade later. You're halfway through the decade, and then they get Kozar in some freak ass fucking supplemental draft that they pull out of their ass, and they get this dude, and he's another local dude, and he turns into a fucking really good fucking quarterback for almost a decade. And so I'm like thinking, man, I love the Browns. The Browns were so much fun, so much excitement. Playoffs every year. We were in the championship game every year. It was fun as fuck. And then it wasn't. And then and like I remember it started with Belichick, and looking back, I would take them years right now as well. You know what I mean? They were still better years than what we've been watching since they've been back from.
Yeah, and you got to let it develop. They didn't.
They were starting to become a good team. I mean, that team was. You could see that team was starting to get better and better under Belichick, and it eventually would have been a good team. And so it was just since they come back, and I swear to God, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. The Browns have fucked everything up in this city by how they came back and how it's played out since then. They've made people cynical. They've made fans into mean, fucking spirited. Like it's not natural to just lose and lose and lose. That's not how sports is made. Like everything in sports is designed so everybody gets their turn. So like there's the whole draft is designed for that. Everything is supposed to be designed so that the winners win and then they lose, and then the losers win, and it's supposed to be this back and forth. At some time you're supposed to get your fucking turn. 2 decades of losing has turned a fan base, which we almost suck as fans now. I mean, like we were considered the greatest fans. We were considered the greatest fans. Well, I think we're no longer considered the greatest fans. Let's just say it like that.
100%.
And I don't think it's necessarily people are just mean and assholes. I just think it's just fucking endless losing, and just this is what it creates. These fucking assholes, these people that are just like just so hateful toward anybody. I mean, like I see it too. I mean, like it's almost bizarro. Like you said, Dan, this ain't real life, but they think it is, and they take it personal, and like it is. It's just going too far. That's what it really comes down to.
Well, yes. And as I've said before, they don't pay your bills. And I know the one guy said the other day, what's his name, puts his life on the line every week. Who's the quarterback?
Miles Garrett said that about Deshaun Watson.
He said that, but he didn't say Miles Garrett, but the other guy, Winston. He said he puts his health and his life on the line every week. No, he doesn't. That's okay. For $250 million, he's got to get paid. He's doing his job. Nobody's putting their life on the line. I don't remember the last time an NFL quarterback there was a fatality.
No murders.
So that's a little bit dramatic, but I think one of the problems that would get solved is that with the new stadium, this shit of having to walk. I think everybody is generally irritated parking to begin with. The experience starts off having to trek from somewhere to get to the stadium, and then you're forced into lines with people who are at different degrees of 20%, 10%, whatever percent you want to say, who are there to act the fool, and you're forced into them. You're in that general flow. If you're in a giant place with parking, you go to your section, you get the hell out. It spreads out in different areas. So I think that's the first irritant for people is parking and getting funneled through these things. It's a bad experience to start with. The second thing I do is I'd clean up these guys selling these knockoff shirts that say vulgar shit. I just would. Do you have class? Do we have someone comes from another city? I want to take them down to a football game and see some stupid shirt about Roethlisberger sucks this or something. I don't want to see that stupid base, low end shit. That's just low end hillbilly ignorant shit. And it's just base. And I don't want to see little kids walking by some vendors selling these knockoff unlicensed shit with vulgar stuff. Clean that shit up. That's not, you want to have a good reputation. Would it be nice if we have this beautiful new house, this new place, and we got guys selling that kind of crap on the street?
This guy here, Gen G, says it's the Gen Y and Z. They live through their fantasy sports and they're reactionary because of it. It's the stupidity of humanity right now. They want it now.
And gambling can get thrown right into that too.
Yeah, I talk about the gambling all the time. I mean, and I just foresee it ruining the sport. I can't. There's nothing I can help anymore but thinking that it's already 2 years, not even, and you're already doubting so many things you're seeing because the gambling stays in the back of your mind is the reason why. It's the motive. So it's I mean, at what point is it just where you're just convinced that it's fixed? At some point, you will be. I mean, I am.
I'm about there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe in the script and all that. I don't think that they have the means to create an entire script and say, this is how this is going to be.
Is Kansas City undefeated?
Well, I do think they realize how one play can change outcomes. Two plays can change outcomes of entire games, especially interference, 50-yard fucking penalties, shit like that, where, even roughing the passer, which literally can be called now, it seems like, on any sack. Like at any time on any sack, they can throw the flag and just say it's roughing. And what are you going to do? And you're just like, oh, because the rules are so fucked up that you can't really say, well, no, that's really not. You just got to say, well, I guess it is. And you move on and you lose the game. So the integrity of the game is definitely at play with the gambling. I definitely.
Nick Chubb had to score 3 touchdowns to get one of them to count.
Yeah, that's another thing. Some ticky-tack type shit, man.
The guy's way across the field, and he knows he didn't cross the plane. It's like,
I'm like, wow, dude, come on, man, this is so weird.
But he lined up in the neutral zone. They show the replay. He's lined up right next to the other guard. Sure thing, ref. How much money do you have on the game, sir?
Dude, it's funny too how they don't show a lot of replays too. When you think the call is kind of like weird and you're like waiting for the replay, it just never comes, and you're like, I know I was right.
Yep. I'm that way all the time.
It's terrible.
Hey, Bryce, you mentioned sacks. I wanted to say, since last we got together, I felt very bad seeing Aiden Hutchinson injury, guy from the Detroit Lions who was having another spectacular year.
Yeah,
freak accident, gets his leg broken. He's gone for the season. He was a lot of fun, great player to watch play. Plays the game the right way, and very sad to see that guy go out for a year.
But just to touch on that, I don't see them making that an excuse as to why they're going to suddenly have some kind of fucking downfall, like we would. Like we would suddenly say, well, he got hurt, and it's like this is my point about the Browns, though, is they have excuses for failure constantly. It's constant, and I see teams who have crazy situations and somehow, some way, figure it out, and that's the difference to me, man.
Well, it is.
That was the beauty of last year. Chubb gets hurt in the second game, and somehow they win 11 games.
It's a very good point, Dan. It really is. On their behalf, they were that team last year. So that's a good point. That's a good point.
And I'll tell you, when Hutchinson went down,
I know we're wrapping it up here in a second. Go ahead.
Okay, there was an opportunity there because Detroit was right away looking for his replacement. So they reached out to Hassan Reddick, who's been the holdout guy, who's the All-Pro that the Jets brought in as a free agent. He's held out. Suddenly, so they contacted the Jets about them taking over his contract at the end of the year. They could have gotten something for Myles Garrett at that point because Lions are built to win immediately. They're great right now. They could have gotten something. I know the Browns don't want to do that. I know he's in his prime, but his value is high now, and it's not going to be better at the end of the season at the rate he's playing. But ends up Reddick ends up signing, and the Jets waived $12 million of fees he's had, or fines, I should say. They've waived it. He's going to play next week. He came into camp on Monday, but that was prompted by him firing his agent, or his agent firing him, I should say, because he wouldn't negotiate, and the Lions reaching out right after Hutchinson got hurt because they They want to fill in a part. They want a good player, and that cog in the machine got hurt. They want to put a good cog in there.
And
They want to win a Super Bowl.
Somebody made a good point today on the radio when I got on in my car today. Trade Miles. I think they should. Joe Thomas's career was wasted here.
Yes.
They almost traded him, and they didn't, and then he got hurt right afterward.
Yep.
I mentioned that to you guys a couple of shows ago. I think he's got a lot of value now. The Jets are going to lose Sauce Gardner or Garrett Wilson. They had the offensive and defensive rookie of the year 2 years ago with those two guys, or 3 years ago on the same year. Great draft. They're going to lose one or both because those guys don't want to waste their career.
No.
And they're not playing well. They played, again, Sauce Gardner. He's one of only 3 guys to start his career out with 2 All-Pros first 2 years. And he doesn't. That still means something. Pro Bowl, everybody gets it now, but they're not going to waste it. Your point, Jeff. They don't want to. Who wants to waste a Joe Thomas? I get the most I could for right now for Miles because his value is high and he's still in his prime. He's still a young man. He'll be, and he might have a whole renaissance for him because he's just not the same guy he was 2 years ago.
Yep,
I would agree. And you recoup some of that drafts and get ready for the new big place.
I can't wait for that now. I just want to see a concert there. Purgatory.
Me too.
I want to see the Purgatory Animals at the new fucking stadium.
Yeah,
you fucking sell it out, dude. Dude, if they'd see what the two bands can really do, you would sell out. People need to go to see one, and then everyone would just start going, dude. They're fucking awesome. They're the best. The Manimals in Purgatory. You gotta see that shit. You gotta see it. Dan, next time I'm going with you.
Nice.
We'll go together and we'll get in the back. We'll get in the green room.
That'd be awesome.
Speaking of that stuff, Big Brian, can I show you guys something? Because 40 years ago, we found out Jeff and I were together somewhere, unbeknownst to one another. This was 40 years ago. I did some giant. This was the last show. Since I usually pull out a something like this thing. Again, I pull out something from the archive that's football related. But I thought, football is so depressing. So 40 years, I used to do these big flyers, a handful, maybe 50 of these with the small ones. I saved that. I love that picture. It's from the Island of Lost Souls, one of the production shots of one of the Manimals from the island. But I used that for let's see if we can get it here. There it is. October 20th, 1984. It was 40 years ago the other day. And Jeff messaged, I was there. So we were both there that night. And that ended up being the last show at the Pop Shop and at the Old Agora. I think it was on East 22nd or something.
Destructor opened.
Yeah, that was their first show ever. They opened for us. And
really? The first
and then it burned down that Monday or Tuesday, I think it was.
I was at that show too. Blackfoot Coffee Break Comedy.
Oh, that's right. It was the Wednesday show. Yes, Jeff. Was that a good show?
Yeah, it was good.
Wow.
That was August or October 20th.
I did not set the fire.
I was gonna ask, dude. What were you smoking?
We didn't start the fire.
Oh, wow. All right, gentlemen. I think we're gonna wrap it up. That was the longest one we ever did, but that was worth it. I was like, "Fuck it, let's just keep
overtime."
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. We had a lot. We didn't do it last week, and we'll do it.
I feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's like, if no one else watches, it's good for us, man. So we might not even do another one of these. We don't know. I mean, like we'll just play it by ear. It probably won't be every week. They're just not interesting enough this year.
Let's just do a metal show.
We could, dude. Now, if you guys want to do that, we could do a podcast for us. As a matter of fact,
we could erase.
I can't put the camera around here, but I'm getting this place fixed up, and
let's do that. That would be fun.
We could just erase Pigskin and be in the mosh pit.
Yeah, I'm thinking about. I think we got to do the Level Up Cleveland thing again. I just think we need it. We need to do it again. I mean, it's like it was a lot of fun, and yeah, dude. And I know Larry told me when I was done interviewing him, he goes, "Brian, we got to have a part 2." I
second that motion.
Yeah,
I got to do it, man. I got to do it.
we were having fun. I mean, I like hearing stories from guys. I like hearing stories from you guys. It's a lot of. I like when you get personal stories mixed in, your experiences as musicians and going to shows and play. It's that kind of connects us all, right?
Yeah.
And this football sure depressing right now. So
great history with you guys, especially if you get Don in here too. His stories, you guys got all them stories. I mean, there's a lot that went on back in the days of debauchery too, where the good stuff, man.
The what?
I miss those days.
The days of debauchery. Yes.
Sounds like a soap opera.
I had days of nobody liked me back then. I don't think everybody likes me now. So you guys,
I don't know, dude. We love you, man. Oh yeah, dude.
I will tell next time, because when Jeff does his howl for me next time, I look forward to that every week. I'm going to tell you a funny story next time, but I'll wait next time about that.
All right. Yeah, I'm not saying we will never do these again. I'm just saying that don't expect them every single week, because
need to have something to talk about.
We can only spread so much depression.
But seriously, I do think that that's a good idea. We might want to talk about doing a metal podcast. I actually have some things that I've been working on, so I was going to include you guys anyway. So it's gonna be pretty cool if it all works out.
Not the game show.
You guys didn't even talk about baseball.
I was thinking about doing
nothing
a game
to
show.
talk about.
Hey man, it was a fun year, man. All I could say about baseball is
200 million less payroll. You're not going to win much.
No.
You know what though, dude? Like that's the way sports is supposed to be. What that team did, like, again, we're ruined by the fucking Browns. If you could just take the Browns out of the equation and look at this team for what it was,
being in the Final Four was great because everybody else was 200 million plus payroll.
I mean, that Stephen Vogt comes in here, dude, and he did an awesome job. I mean, you just don't even see stuff like this. And for what it's worth, I've seen some people, oh, if Tito was here, and I'm like, guys, if Tito was here, we don't even get into the playoffs.
We had Tito here. We didn't win shit with him.
Yeah, I don't believe that he would have brought this team. As a matter of fact, I don't know that there's a manager in baseball that you could have handed this team to and would have done what this guy did. I mean, it was utterly incredible. And we went up against the fucking Yankees, and now I have a new guy in Juan Soto to hate more than any other motherfucker in sports.
Giancarlo,
top of my fucking list. He was it, but Soto just literally made it impossible. I mean, it's like, dude, you have to be the most hated. It's impossible for me.
And we could have had him.
Yeah, well,
if the Dolans would have.
The guy pretends he has no money. The guy's loaded.
But it was so much fun.
Richest owner in baseball.
One of the most fun seasons in baseball, absolutely, since the 90s. I don't care what anyone tells me. Even more fun than the World Series year. I had more fun watching this team. It was just incredible year. It was just the way they won, Class A, everything about this team. It was just a fun year, and I had no regrets, and I didn't expect them to do anything.
Fire Dolan.
So,
yeah.
Well, I was watching. I did. You guys know I'm not a baseball fan. I don't pay much attention, but I did turn it on that last game about the fifth inning and watch, because I was thinking about you three and hoping like hell they'd pull out the win for you and keep the game going.
I thought we had a chance when it was 6-6 in that fourth game, and then it just fell apart again.
Yeah, but it was fun changing blows with the Yankees, dude. I mean, it was like nuts.
Yeah.
Had they not given away game one, who knows what could happen.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is now. I mean, like I say, it was fun, and I enjoyed the shit out of it. And who knows, next year, our favorite expression here.
Oh yeah, it should be the state motto.
At least the city. All right, guys, been a fun one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always is.
Always is.
We'll let you guys know. We'll let you guys know when we're going to do another one of these. Check us out on Facebook. It could be next week. As long as there's good drama, we're always game to go down.
Drama.
Look out for our metal podcast that should be coming out pretty soon.
The Mosh Pit.
All right, boys. Thanks for hanging out, man. We'll see you guys. See ya.
Hey, guys.
Yeah.
Later.